will be on the general election ballot despite an attempt to block her candidacy by an ally of current Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who is
a mayoral candidate being challenged. The saga surrounding embattled South Suburban.
Tiffany Henyard, the self-proclaimed supermayor of Dalton, has finally surrendered to authorities after a shocking FBI raid exposed years of corruption that had long been concealed from the public eye. While Henyard indulged in a life of extravagance, her town of Dalton was sinking deeper into financial ruin, with its residents struggling to make ends meet. Her lavish lifestyle, funded by taxpayer money, has now come crashing down, and she faces the possibility of serving up to 25 years in prison for her actions. Henyard's downfall is making national headlines as she now faces 22 federal charges, including misappropriation of funds and the concealment of millions of taxpayer dollars. For months, the FBI had been tracking Henyard's activities, following subpoenas and gathering evidence based on mounting rumors of misconduct. When they finally moved in, what they uncovered was nothing short of scandalous. Henyard, once hailed as an untouchable political figure, is now facing the full consequences of her misdeeds. Among the most serious accusations against her is the diversion of town funds to sustain her own lavish lifestyle. One of the most blatant examples of her financial misconduct was a shopping spree in September 2023, during which Henyard spent $7,700 at stores such as Target, Walgreens, and Wayfair, an entirely inappropriate use of public funds for personal luxuries. However, her reckless spending did not stop there. Henyard even refused to fly in standard coach class, instead opting for premium travel accommodations, complete with a professional hair and makeup team. Meanwhile, the struggling residents of Dalton were left to suffer as their town's finances crumbled under mismanagement and neglect. In just 1 year, Henyard's administration burned through over $112,000 in travel expenses, depleting the town's $5,600,000 surplus and leaving Dalton with a staggering $36 million deficit. The financial collapse was both swift and devastating. However, Henyard's corruption extended far. Beyond personal luxuries, she also used government funds to benefit her own family, further draining the town's already struggling resources. One of the most shocking examples of this misconduct was a $561,000 payment for her mother's driveway, an astronomical sum for a single piece of pavement. Meanwhile, Dalton's police force was repurposed as Henyard's personal security detail, assigned to run errands for her while crime in the town continued unchecked. Instead of patrolling the streets to protect residents, officers were required to follow her around like a VIP entourage, ensuring her comfort while the community suffered from rising crime rates and dwindling public safety resources. Henyard's easy, once praised reign of extravagance and corruption finally came to an end when a former police chief, who had witnessed the misuse of public funds firsthand, decided he could no longer stay silent. This whistleblower exposed the full extent of Henyard's wrongdoing, revealing to the public just how their hard-earned tax dollars were being squandered. Now, as Henyard faces the legal repercussions of her actions, the residents of Dalton are left to pick up the shattered remains of their town's financial stability. The betrayal they feel is profound, as the very person they had entrusted to lead them instead prioritized her own wealth and power over their well-being.
Behind me, the doors are locked here, and there's a sign on the building right now that says it's closed for how long? Neither residents nor...
The tenure of Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard has been shaken by explosive allegations of misconduct and taxpayer fraud, with the latest revelations painting a deeply unsettling picture of her time in office. Despite having her credit card privileges revoked, Henyard proceeded to throw a lavish $55,000 party for the town, featuring performances by artists Wyatt and Jay Holiday, who were paid $30,000 and $20,000 respectively for 30-minute sets. To make matters even worse, Henyard spent an additional $36,000 on a sound system, staffing, equipment, comedians, and even bouncy houses, which alone cost $6,600, all for an event that only about 70 people attended. Outrage among residents has been steadily growing. Jennifer Roberts, a concerned citizen, voiced her frustration, fuming over the blatant misuse of taxpayer money. Former trustee Valerius Stubbs also condemned the event, calling it a wasteful self-promotion scheme. Henyard's apparent disregard for fiscal responsibility has only further fueled public distrust, with both taxpayers and federal investigators closely monitoring her actions. However, the real twist came when Henyard's former ally and ex-right-hand woman, Carmen Carlisle, stepped forward with damning evidence. Carlisle had witnessed firsthand what she described as Henyard's misuse of Dalton funds over the course of 2 years. Initially remaining silent, Carlisle ultimately became the key whistleblower, handing over a stack of receipts to federal authorities and shedding light on the mayor's financial schemes. Her testimony has been nothing short of a bombshell, exposing the inner workings of Henyard's alleged fiscal mismanagement and her brazen efforts to promote herself at the public's expense. Carlisle's revelations only added fuel to the fire, with critics like Stubbs emphasizing the stark contrast between Henyard's extravagant spending and the limited turnout at community events. The public's outrage was palpable, with many demanding justice for the residents of Dalton, who had suffered as their town's finances crumbled under Henyard's administration. Despite mounting criticism, Henyard has shown no sign of slowing down, a move that many believe will only add more fuel to the fire of the unfolding scandal. With the FBI's investigation now bolstered by Carlisle's first-hand account, Henyard is squarely in the spotlight. Federal authorities are scrutinizing every aspect of Henyard's administration, from her lavish lifestyle funded by taxpayer dollars to her extravagant trips and her personal security detail, which often resembles the entourage of a Hollywood celebrity. The investigation is also delving into her financial dealings, including her commercial ventures and campaign finances. The web of connections involving Henyard and her political allies is being thoroughly examined, with authorities casting a spotlight on everyone who may have had a hand in the alleged corruption. The people of Dalton have long demanded transparency and answers regarding unexplained expenses and questionable decisions made by Henyard. Activists like Brittany Norwood have been particularly vocal in their criticism, amplifying the frustrations of residents who have watched their town suffer under Henyard's administration. For these residents, the FBI's intervention feels like a long overdue response to their desperate pleas for assistance. However, many are left wondering why justice has been so slow in coming, despite the mounting evidence and growing public outrage. Throughout the investigation, Henyard has maintained an image of business as usual, continuing to carry out her mayoral duties despite the mounting pressure and scrutiny. This defiance has only fueled further public anger as residents see her as increasingly disconnected from the reality of their struggles. Meanwhile, the FBI presses forward with its investigation, determined to uncover the full extent of Henyard's actions and ensure that those responsible for Dalton's financial turmoil are held accountable. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has reportedly been utilizing advanced surveillance techniques to monitor potential wrongdoing not only by Tiffany Henyard, but also by her political allies as the inquiry continues to expand. Rumors have been spreading that several additional individuals connected to Henyard may soon come under similar scrutiny. The magnitude of the Federal Bureau of Investigation's probe has sent shockwaves through Dalton, with residents who have long witnessed their town teeter on the brink of financial collapse, now confronting the very real possibility that numerous individuals they once placed their trust in may have been complicit in this vast web of corruption. Yet, in an astonishing and surreal turn of events, Henyard stunned the town when she voluntarily surrendered herself to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. One moment she was maintaining her usual glamorous public persona, seemingly unaffected by the growing storm of controversy surrounding her, and the next, she was stepping into the custody of federal authorities. The abruptness of her surrender left Dalton residents in shock, leading to widespread speculation regarding her motives. Why would Henyard suddenly abandon her opulent lifestyle and willingly place herself in the hands of federal agents? Many believe that her decision may be part of a calculated strategy to negotiate a deal with federal prosecutors. Speculation is mounting that she might be offering to expose other individuals involved in her alleged fraudulent schemes in exchange for a reduction in sentencing. If this speculation holds true, it represents a dramatic shift in the trajectory of this scandal. Henyard, who was once perceived as an untouchable force within Dalton's political sphere, now faces the undeniable reality of severe legal consequences. Her voluntary surrender not only signifies a turning point for her personally, but also marks a shift in the power dynamic between Dalton's citizens and their local government. Henyard's once invincible image has been completely shattered, and her unexpected surrender has given the public a sense that, at least for the moment, there may be a semblance of justice looming on the horizon. As she faces federal charges, The repercussions of her alleged actions continue to ripple through Dalton. The town, already entrenched in financial turmoil, must now grapple with the overwhelming financial burden created by her supposed corruption, as well as the deepening distrust in local leadership. The citizens of Dalton are left to pick up the pieces, questioning how their community reached this point, and what measures will be necessary to restore the town's shattered financial credibility. The saga of Henyard's meteoric rise and devastating fall is far from over. Federal authorities remain committed to uncovering the full scope of her alleged corruption, and with the testimony of Carmen Carlisle and mounting evidence, it is evident that this investigation will carry long-lasting consequences. As further details come to light, the residents of Dalton are left yearning for justice, hoping that this scandal will finally bring about much-needed reforms and enable them to rebuild from the ruins left by Henyard's reckless financial practices and self-serving governance. Ultimately, Henyard's scandal stands as a stark reminder of the perils of unchecked political power and the critical importance of holding public officials accountable for their actions. The people of Dalton have paid a steep price for Henyard's leadership, but her downfall may ultimately pave the way for a brighter, more transparent future for the town. Only time will determine whether this controversy will spark the transformative changes necessary to restore faith in Dalton's government, or if it will simply become another infamous chapter in the town's troubled history. Mayor Tiffany Henyard's fall from grace has evolved into a powerful symbol of corruption, manipulation, and the devastating repercussions of unchecked authority. Once a figure of immense wealth and influence, she now faces the ultimate reckoning.